And Mr. Trump could be left on an island in connection with our case, just like he could be left on an island in connection with the criminal prosecution out of SDNY.
More on what Rudy said, and specifically about you in just a moment, but in past interviews you've told us that other women have come to you, have come forward. You said you were vetting them. Are they fully vetted? Is there any more to share?
They are not fully vetted, but there's at least two that I think are on solid ground. And I think that as the evidence rolls out over the coming months, disclosures are going to be made that my client was not alone as it relates to these payments, that Michael Cohen was not a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week fixer for the sole purpose of taking care of Stormy Daniels.
Two women who allege that they have agreements with Michael Cohen or Donald Trump?
Correct.
And women who claim to have had affairs or sex with Donald Trump?
Correct.
And these women, are they part of larger payments?
I'm sorry?
Did they have larger payments paid to them, larger than $130,000?
Yes.
Much larger? Like, are we talking about over $1 million?
I'm not going to disclose any more other than what I've already said.
Are the agreements documented, Michael?
They appear to be, but we have not verified the documentation.
You haven't seen the document.
So you feel you have two other, are they your clients now?
Technically not. No.
They are technically, but you are working with them.
Correct. I mean, there's privilege that's attached.
It looks like okay, there's a possibility they may become your clients?
Yes.
And you feel that these cases so far in the vetting process appear to be in solid ground to match similar to the Stormy Daniels line of payment, money from Trump to Michael Cohen to them for their silence.
Yes.
And, okay, so are there any other women beyond those two that you're still vetting?
Yes.
So there could be more than two?
Yes.
Are any of them looking like they appear that they will have
This is a good examination, don't you?
Well, I'm just wondering about the other women. I mean, is that they are in a category where it's a long shot, or is it just a process of getting through the vetting?
No, it's just a process of getting through the vetting, and we want to be careful in what we state, and we want to be measured.
I get that. So,
and as co-counsel Amika,
some you can tell are like, what?
Can I add one more question?
Yes.
Do you believe that any financial dealings with these women were properly reported at the time, or like Stormy Daniels, do you believe they also might create other exposure for Donald Trump?
I think they may create additional exposure.
Payments close to the campaign, close to the timing of Stormy Daniels' payment?
I don't want to get into the exact timing considerations of when they occurred, but I think that they may prove to be problematic.
And are they willing to have their cases be made public in the way Stormy Daniels has?
We don't know.
Names will be in the press?
We don't know yet, and that's a big issue for them.
This is a problem. If it is a campaign finance law, I mean, this is going to be a huge problem.
Well, we already have huge problems. I mean, we have prospective campaign finance violations. We have prospective, and we talked about this last night on your show. We have prospective problems relating to the disclosure relating to the assets and the liabilities. And the other thing that I think is really critically important, and we talked about this yesterday, is when the 2016 disclosure form was created in May of 2017, Donald Trump was not the only individual that was consulted in connection with that. Michael Cohen would have been consulted in connection with the preparation of that form, obviously, because it related to the assets and liabilities of Donald Trump in 2016, and the person that was at the forefront of a lot of that would have been Michael Cohen. So I think a critical question that's going to be asked ultimately is, what did Michael Cohen tell whoever was compiling that form in May or June of last year, meaning related to 2016? What did he tell him? Did he have communications with the president about what should go on that form or otherwise?
Well, Mika, this is part of why Michael Avenatti has turned out to be such a tormenting, relentless figure in the life of the Trump administration, because it is legal to lie to reporters. It is legal to lie to the American public, and the voters ultimately decide whether they think someone's lying and whether they care. It is illegal to lie to federal authorities, and that's why you have a letter new to Rod Rosenstein about whether there was lies in the financial disclosure form, and it's also illegal separately to lie to banks.
Well, on top of that, potentially, as you're talking about all of this, one of the huge problems that could occur is both bank fraud and tax fraud, it would seem. And the President of the United States, who doesn't send emails, Michael Cohen, who obviously has to keep some record of expenditures incoming and outgoing, that's a huge problem.
No, I agree with that. I mean, if in fact the president deducted these payments to Michael Cohen as a legal expense, meaning an expense for legal services, which appears to be what Mr. Giuliani had suggested as it relates to how Michael Cohen was reimbursed, that would be a problem because it would not be a legal expenditure if it was just a pass-through in order to reimburse him for the Stormy Daniels payment.
On these two women, I can't believe I have to ask you this, but are one of them related to this Brody guy? Is he covering for Trump's name?
I have not included her in the two.
Okay. Really? And so that's a third, potentially.
Well, potentially.
Yeah. Do any of these payments on these two cases that appear to be on solid ground, are they for procedure or anything? I hate to ask, but I'm just
Are
curious.
you asking if one of the payments related to an abortion?
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
Okay. And then when do you think these two cases that are on solid ground will be fully vetted and these women will be able to come forward?
I think we're on the verge of being able to state that they're fully vetted. I feel comfortable enough to state this morning to you, and it's up to them ultimately if they're willing to come forward. I mean, there's a lot of downside associated with that. I mean, I think people don't have a full understanding of what my client has faced and continues to face day in and day out, relating to her family, relating to threats, relating to death threats, relating to a lot of things that she's had to put up with. She's a very courageous woman, and I think